I don't really know how to start this video because I don't know, this is not really something I talk about a lot with people, and it's not like I'm afraid or ashamed to talk about it, but it's just like nobody asks about it, and it's kind of a thing of the past. I moved on from it. I've grown from it. I'm a grown ass man now. It's not like I need to talk about it, but growing up without a father, looking back at it in retrospect, it definitely hurt me in a lot of ways. And luckily, I was kind of able to circumvent that by finding leaders and mentors, even through the internet. Just people to look up to and to emulate as I was growing up that kind of put me in a better position. And my mom did a good job of playing the role of the father as best as she could. So without getting into too much of a story, let me explain to y'all a brief breakdown of my life situation growing up. My father and my mother had divorced when I was a little child, and basically my father was just not a good person. Like, he was abusive, like he would have a real bad drinking problem, smoking problem, like it interfered with his work. Basically all the stuff that I tell you guys not to do on this channel, he would be doing all those things, all the bad habits. And I'm not going to get into the specifics. If you really want to hear an in-depth version of this, let me know in the comment section below. But essentially he wasn't around as long as I can remember. I remember like the smallest memories of him when I was like 7-8 years old, but he didn't really teach me anything. He was just kind of there to like buy me stuff, and he just did the bare minimum to not neglect me. Like, he would only see me occasionally when I was a little kid. Like, I would only go to his house a few times, and then one time some bad situation happened and I stopped going to his place, and then when I was about 10 years old, he passed away. So he was really not in my life whatsoever. I didn't learn anything from him. Like, I didn't have any sort of memorable experience with him that was particularly good, at least that I can remember. So it was a struggle growing up in the terms of I was never taught how a man should carry himself and how he should treat others and just anything that a man should do, right? Everything I was taught was from my mother, or taught at school or through friends or online. So I really didn't have anybody to look up to model, to listen to as a man growing up. And having an older sister and a mother pretty much raising you, my older sister's 13 years older than me, so she was kind of like a second mom at some points because of the age difference. And like I said, I didn't really have anybody in my life to teach me how to carry myself, how to keep calm in certain situations, how to treat women, how I should approach life and my goals. I had nobody to do that. So I struggled with a lot of things in life. A lot of it I had to go through trial and error. So I had trouble with a lot of these things. And whenever I needed advice from somebody as I was getting a little bit older, as I was actually getting into high school and developing, you know what I mean? I had nobody to go to for that advice. I had the internet. And as much as my mom could disclose to me. But, she's from a different country. She moved here, at a late age. Like, things are different here than they were there. And it's just a whole different situation, especially coming from your mom giving you advice. Like, we all know that as much as our moms love us, they don't always give us the best advice, even though they have the best in mind for us. But it hurt me. It hurt me. Like, I can't even lie. Like, I'm sure I could have done a lot better in certain things in life, whether it be school, with women, with my career early on, if I had a father to kind of guide me. And the reason I'm kind of just spewing this whole story at you guys right now is because I don't want your kids to suffer through the same thing. I want you guys to take on the responsibility of being a father. Whether you're going to be one, whether you want to be one, whether you're one right now, I want you to take on the responsibility of guiding somebody and being a leader for your children. Because that's a very important role that I think is extremely important for a child's development, especially early on. I know a lot of people watching this video are men on my channel. They're young men. So I want you guys to really take on that responsibility whenever that time does come. I don't want you guys to suffer the same things that I suffered through. So be that beacon of light for your future kids, right? I want you guys to learn all the proper ways to handle situations, handle life, handle your emotions, and be able to pass that on to your future generations and people around you, and just overall spread message and awareness of how to conduct yourself as a man. I was a big troublemaker as a kid, and I think partially the reason why was because I didn't have a father growing up. And not taking anything away from my mom, she raised me beautifully and did the best she could and gave me great morals, a great support system. She did absolutely nothing wrong, but it's just like there's only so much you can do. From elementary to middle school, I was a troublemaker. I got suspended in elementary school a few times. I would go to the principal's office like on a weekly basis in elementary school. But again, this kind of stems from the situation of like not having a dad. See, if I were in that situation, or if I'm ever going to be in that situation, first time my kid is in the office and he, gets written up for disturbing the class or like pulling pranks in class, I would be on his ass. I'd be like, bro, you can't do that. Like, you gotta be there to learn. You could do whatever the hell you want on your own time outside, like fuck around, but you can't be disturbing the class, like throwing shit at people. Like, you gotta be respectful of other people. You wouldn't like if other, I would be teaching them all these lessons. I wouldn't let it happen again. Essentially, I would try to not let it happen again. And I think I turned out okay. But every time I kind of look back at certain situations in my life, I know they could have been handled better, and I know I could have been in this state of mind that I am in right now earlier in life. And I could have prevented a lot of the other problems that I had. I don't know how my life would have been different because I don't like to look back and think, what if? I know if you're on this channel, you probably already know that. I don't like to think back, what if this happened, what if that happened? So I can't really picture how different my life would have been. But I just remember at certain points in life that I had really nobody to look up to because I knew my mom couldn't understand some of the issues I was going through. Because as much as we like to believe in equality, let's face it, men and women go through different issues of society. Like, I don't have to worry about getting catcalled, and women don't have to worry about things like, not caring about, people not caring about what you have to say or your emotions. Or even on the beneficial side of things, like pretty privilege, like having privilege. And same thing the other way around. I don't have to worry about, going on walks late at night and fearing for my life. It's just different experiences for the genders. As much as we like to believe we're equal, we experience different things in life. Going back to my point earlier, there's only so much my mom could do to help me, right? She could give me the best advice she possibly can, but some things she's just not going through. Especially like hormonally, I guess that's the best way to put it. When you're growing up, and I had a lot of issues with approaching women in high school and maybe even earlier, if you want to say that, because I didn't have really anybody to teach me any of that stuff. I was nervous. Like, I didn't realize that, you don't really got to be nervous. Like, everyone goes through this, yada, yada. I didn't know any of that. I was not told any of this. My mom was like, oh yeah, be nice to them. Be nice to the girls. Like, just be nice, be kind to them, give them stuff. Like, that's what they like, right? But we all know that's cap. Like, you can't just be overly nice to them. That's also an issue because you're going to get stepped all over. In fact, I may have suffered from that in life because I was a little too nice at certain points. Yeah, man, it's just a different experience when you don't have that father figure in your life. I don't really know where this is going because, again, I can't project how my life would have turned out differently. It could have been so much different. It could have been not different at all if my father had been in my life from day one. But it can only be beneficial. If you're a healthy present father in your kid's life, and you're passing down your knowledge of years of experience, trial and error, going through that dark stuff that you went through. I'm sure a lot of you watching this video have been in bad mental states. In fact, I think all of you have been there at some point. And if you can pass on the knowledge of how to get through that to your children so they don't have to suffer through the same fate, that's big. That's big. And again, not growing up with a father, I wonder how much things I missed out on in that area. I wonder how, if my mental health was so shit at times because I didn't have anybody to turn to or talk to that I felt like could relate to me, right? Friends, of course, they're going to be there, yada, yada, but it's like at certain points when you're young, you don't feel like you could tell your friends everything. Like, you care too much about what other people think, especially in like high school. So it's a lot of factors that go into it. And although I turned out good, I know a lot of kids that didn't. I know a lot of kids that went down bad paths, turned to drugs, like focused on the wrong things, and they grew up and they're not in such a good position now. Luckily, again, my mom did the best job she could in raising me by herself. And I found, luckily, some good people through the internet, through family, through mutual people I knew to kind of steer me in the right direction. But again, at the same time, like, some people don't even have that, right? Some people don't even have those other extraneous parts. And it takes just one thing to go wrong for you without a father figure, and everything could fly off the rails. I think personally that's how we end up with some of these extreme red pillars that like hate on women and say like, oh yeah, men deserve to cheat and women have to be loyal, yada, all that bullshit that a lot of these red pill channels preach and talk about. I think that's how we end up with some of those people because they got hurt in life at some point and they probably didn't have a good father figure around to help them get through that situation, and now they're angry and bitter about the situation because the only thing they know is that experience they had. They have nobody to teach them the outside world. They have nobody to show them a different light of the situation. So they're just sitting there like bitter and angry with whatever they're going through. So that's how we end up with those people that are just hating on women and, having these certain outlooks on life that are just extreme and we all clown on a lot of the time. I think it's because they didn't have father figures to tell them otherwise. They went through a certain situation on their own as men and had no one to tell them how it can be different, and that you just ended up in a bad situation. You got to keep it pushing. Put your head down. Don't start shitting on everybody else around you and take accountability for yourself. I don't think they had that father figure. Now, maybe they did and they still chose to transgress those beliefs that they were taught. Or maybe they were taught the wrong beliefs from their fathers. But, like, when I went through my first breakup, as much as my mom was helping me, like, she couldn't advise me what to do, really. Like, she was... What can she say? What can she say? It's going to be all right. It's going to get better. And she was doing that. She was comforting. But it's like, I had nobody to tell me, like, you got to keep pushing. You got to work on yourself, right? You got to worry about your life's purpose and your goals, and that there's bigger things outside of just having a relationship. I don't want any of you guys to go through the same thing. I don't want any of you guys to have kids that go through the same thing and not have any knowledge to pull from and kind of just be lost. Make sure that you're present in your kid's life. You got to be there to teach them and mentor them, man. I can't. I wish I had somebody like that. I really wish I had somebody like that for certain situations. And I'm thinking back to all of them right now. I think I would have saved myself a lot of embarrassment and humiliation and mental health struggles if I kind of had somebody to guide me in the right direction. I had nobody. I grew up with an older sister and a mother that can't see things from a male perspective all the time. Especially my sister, no lie. I'm not even want to put her on blast like that. But regardless, a lot of people may not have turned out okay. And for those people, they needed a father figure in their lives that just wasn't there. And I think that's very scary, that I think our society is kind of moving towards that because of how the dating market is just kind of fucked right now. That's the best way to put it. I hope you guys took something away from this. It's a little different from the videos I've been doing lately. I went back to like just kind of a rant style because I don't know. I feel like it's a little more personal with these videos sometimes, and I want to make sure I get a variety of content in, informative, and also just laid back, talking bro to bro, or bro to sis, I guess, if you're female watching this by any small chance. I think like 5% of my audience is female. The 95 is men. So hope you guys can be a great father in the future, and I truly believe every single one of you watching this video will be just that. And I shall see you guys on the next one. I'm out. Bah!